Overloading is somewhat related to polymorphism. So, we will see how it is related to polymorphism and what are the different types of overloadings that are available in C++. Polymorphism is exhibited in OOP through this concept of overloading. So, the types of overloading that are available in OOP are function overloading, constructor overloading and operator overloading. So, we will see how each of these is overloaded in C++. So, when we say function overloading, it is a process of using the same name for different functions. As I said earlier, a function with the same name can perform different operations. So, that is what is implemented in function overloading. And each redefinition of the function, redefinition in the sense, see, a function will have a definition means it tells what that function does. When a function with the same name does different things, you need to have redefinition of that function. So, how is that redefinition done? What is the difference other than the function name in the definition of those functions? One is a function can use different types of parameters. So, we know that every function needs to have a name and it needs to have a set of arguments. When the name is going to be the same, the difference in the function should be only in the arguments. So, the argument can differ in the type, that is a data type. If one function is having integer data type, the other function should have float or double or character data type arguments. Another one is the sequence of parameters. Say one function is having an integer, character and float, another function can have a float, character and integer. So, the sequence in which the parameters are given in the function declaration also can be different. The third possibility is when there are different numbers of parameters. So, you have the function with the same name performing different operations, but the compiler can identify the difference in the functions by the parameters. What difference? One is in the data type of the arguments, the sequence of the arguments and the number of the arguments. So, this is how functions are overloaded in C++. When we write programs using these concepts, you will be able to understand it better. Next, we have constructor overloading. Now, constructor is a new term. Constructor is also a function, but the speciality of this constructor is that they have the same name as the class name. These functions all have the same name as the class name. So, we will see in detail what is the significant features of this constructor. They are special functions that perform the role of initialization. So, constructors are special functions which perform a special task. All constructors can do only one task. They can initialize the values for the data that are defined in the classes. As I said, a class can have data and functions. So, when you give values to those data, it is called initialization. That is normally done in constructor function. They have the same name as the class name. Secondly, all constructors should have the same name as the class name. So, this is bringing the constructors to the same point of functions. When all constructors have the same name, how are we going to differentiate on the operations that are to be performed by the constructors? Constructors are differentiated again based on the same three features: the type of parameters, the number of parameters and the sequence of parameters. So, even constructors are like functions, but there are two differences in them. Constructors should have the same name as a class name and they only perform the role of initialization. They cannot do any other work. They can only initialize values for the data. In addition to that, they can have parameters. They can be without parameters also. So, the way to differentiate among constructors is again only using parameters, the number, the data type and the sequence in which they are arranged. The third type is operator overloading. So, we saw function overloading, constructor overloading and now it is operator overloading. So, operators are the general operators that we have already seen in C and that we will be seeing now in C++ also. They provide additional meaning to the normal C++ operators when they are applied to user defined data types. So, generally when we say operator, when we say plus or minus, the work that we expect that operator to do is to add two values or to subtract two values. When that operator is able to do something more than that, it is called an additional work. That operator is carrying some additional meaning. So, when we are able to give some additional meaning to the existing operators in C++ to do user defined operations, it is called operator overloading. You are making that operator do more work than it is expected to do. An operator is expected to do only what it indicates, either addition or subtraction or division or multiplication, whatever the case may be. But you are making that operator do more work than it is expected to. So, that is you are overloading that operator. Only a predefined set of operators can be overloaded. That is to be noted, all operators cannot be overloaded in C++. Both unary and binary operators can be overloaded. So, among the predefined set of operators, you have both unary and binary which can be overloaded to perform additional tasks. So, this is the concept of overloading and how polymorphism is implemented using this overloading concept. In overloading, you have function, constructor and operator overloading. Now, we will see each of these in detail when we are studying the concepts of C++.